there, I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
And we are going to be talking about week 5 of the college football season, technically week 5.
Week 2 in our minds.
Yeah, even though this is only our second video and a whole lot of play has not happened in those previous weeks, it's still technically week 5. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Big Ten and Mountain West in Pac-12, they're still not even, they haven't even begun yet.
Right.
So in polls and all of that, you can't do anything with them. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. Although I think Ohio State's still ranked in the AP.
Yeah.
Some teams, some conferences are still being put in, some aren't. I don't really know exactly how that looks. All that really matters is I think late November is when the college football playoff polls start coming out, and those will be what really matter.
Yeah.
So
but how can you rank a team while some are playing and some aren't?
Exactly. So the one that matters hasn't come out yet.
So let's talk about upsets this past week. There were a lot of upsets.
Let's start with me.
There were a slew of them.
And last week I said that SMU was going to beat Memphis. Memphis was a 3-point favorite in that game. And guess what? They lost by 3. So I got it right. I'm 1-0 for the year. The best thing coming out of 2020. SMU's now 4-0.
They are 4-0.
So all in all, I think Memphis probably is a good team, but so is SMU. 4 wins, 0 losses. That means they're a decent team. A contender for the AAC, I think.
It does. Yeah. And then we had TCU went to Texas, and they took it to Texas.
So clearly they watched whatever Texas Tech did versus Texas.
Yeah.
Texas has holes. You just have to expose them.
Do.
Good win for TCU. Gary Patterson. This statistic blew me away. They said TCU has beat Texas 7 of the last 9 times that they've played. Yeah. That is pitiful by a team like Texas to have that kind of record versus anyone.
So Patterson has them figured out, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah, but Duggan, he did a good job. I mean, it was that strange thing, Ellinger. They went all the way down the field. They were in position to score, and there was a fumble there at the 1-yard line. TCU gets the ball back, and they take the safety.
Yeah, the way they win the game is taking the safety.
Odd to watch.
Because apparently you don't have to punt it to the other team.
That's right.
If the time's out, it ends the game.
Oh, it's over.
Genius.
Yeah. Took us we were scratching our heads there at the end.
So were the referees,
what was going on.
Yeah.
Anyways. And then you had, this probably isn't a huge one, but North Carolina State Wolfpack went in and beat undefeated Pitt.
I think this is a bigger deal since Virginia Tech embarrassed North Carolina State.
Yeah. Where
everyone was like, okay, a ranked Pittsburgh is not going to have any problems with them, right? They're going to be able to roll over NC State.
That's
but
true.
Somehow they win. I think it throws a couple questions. I think you have to continue thinking that this is just a strange year as far as conditioning and different things for every team because of COVID.
Sure.
There's going to be so many upsets this season, you can just tell.
Yeah. How about the next one?
Yeah.
So Tulsa goes to UCF, and Tulsa beats UCF. The way they did it, I mean, they scored 9 unanswered in the fourth quarter.
They did. This was right after UCF declared themselves the best team in Florida.
In Florida, that's right.
Even over the Gators.
Yep.
Clearly not. And I now hear that Tulsa is declaring themselves the best team in Oklahoma.
Nice one. Well, the interesting thing about this, UCF had an incredible home game streak that got broken.
Man, it's going to suck for any teams with home game streaks or anything right now because you don't really have much of a home field advantage, right?
You don't.
Either way,
have the crowd in there.
Huge win for Tulsa.
Yeah. Bad
loss for UCF. You had to think. We were talking to a UCF fan, Bobby, the other day, and he thinks UCF has a lot of holes. It just seems like they're going to have a lot of problems in that they were definitely ranked too high to begin with. I still think they're going to have a decent season.
Sure. And then you have another streak that was broken. Arkansas actually won an SEC game.
20.
They had lost 20 straight coming into this. And Mississippi State, after beating LSU, Costello putting up that 600 million yards in a game. And, Costello, I mean, it's not that he did horrible. He still had 300 plus yards.
Right.
But my goodness, Arkansas wins this game 21-14. What's going on there?
Yeah, man. Mississippi State, they must have just given their all against LSU and not had anything left in the tank is what I'm thinking. Arkansas somehow beats them. Arkansas, man,
wow. So Arkansas is going to go down to the Plains in Auburn this coming weekend. So do you think they're going to be able to take that fire?
No, Arkansas doesn't stand a chance. If Auburn loses to this, Malzahn is gone. That's all I have to say.
They're not going to lose.
Yeah.
And then you had Oklahoma got beat by Iowa State in front of an Iowa State, well, if you want to call it a crowd, in front of their fans there.
I believe this is the first time it was like since 1997 or something ridiculous that Oklahoma's lost 2 consecutive games against unranked opponents.
Yeah.
Because last week was Kansas State, this week is Iowa State. If you have state at the end of your name, apparently you can beat Oklahoma. Or if you just have a team with a good coach. I don't.
That's true.
What I've been hearing people say is Riley, Oklahoma's coach, doesn't know how to do anything with the team unless he steals a quarterback from another team who's already had decent coaching, right?
Yeah.
Because right now it's actually, their quarterback. They need to go find someone somewhere and be like, hey, we'll take you.
Yeah.
Then maybe they can do something.
Yeah. Well, so Oklahoma State, as far as Big 12 is concerned, Oklahoma State right now is
which is hilarious.
Is dominating it.
Yeah, anyways.
All right. So an interesting game you had, and for some, it was the Ole Miss Kentucky game.
Yeah, it was just
Kentucky
fun.
Still poor old Kentucky.
Man, I love Kentucky.
It's a rough start though. It is a rough start.
They missed. I mean, they literally brought this game to overtime.
They go to overtime.
Back and forth the entire way. Overtime. Kentucky scores first, and the kicker misses the extra point.
Poor guy.
Oh man, you have one job.
He's kicking himself right now.
It just feels bad. And then the defense couldn't do anything against Ole Miss. They go straight into the end zone, get the extra point. 42-41.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Some of the games pretty much as expected. You had Auburn went to Georgia, went to Athens, and
I said this was going to happen.
Yeah, they were dominated by Georgia.
27-6. Bo Nix, he's still not good. I know people were saying like freshman year's gone, maybe he can do something this year against good opponents. Besides Alabama. Bo Nix seems to struggle.
Yeah.
Alabama, he pulls some crap out and all of a sudden plays like a Heisman quarterback.
Yeah.
But 27-6. He threw, I believe, Bo Nix threw for over 40 passes in the game and only completed 20 something and averaged 4.4 yards a pass. That is awful.
4.4 is pretty dismal.
And they had 38 rushing yards as a team. Georgia had over 200 rushing yards. Their quarterback did great. Georgia looked good. Especially defensively, you have to just give them credit. I think Georgia, watch out for them.
So what about the Vols of Tennessee? They're going to be heading into Athens this week.
Tennessee is convinced they're back.
Yeah.
Convinced that they're back.
Well, if they're back, this is the time to show it.
Okay, this is what I have to say. They're going to Georgia. If you watched the Auburn-Georgia game, I don't know who's saying that was 20% capacity. That stadium looked full. Yeah. I don't know, how they did this or what the strategy.
And it was full of people who were not interested in social distancing or taking any kind of measures at all.
So Tennessee is pretty much Georgia actually has home field advantage, unlike most teams.
Yes.
So Tennessee loses to Georgia.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Then you have the other game, Texas A&M at Alabama. Nobody was expecting Texas A&M to win.
That first quarter, the very beginning, when Texas A&M scored 14 consecutive points, we were all like, ooh, maybe this is something. It wasn't something.
Yeah.
Alabama crushes them. Jones thriving.
430 plus yards, 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
His long throw is beautiful. He's just extremely accurate. And I'm going to say this every single week until I don't see it. His pocket presence is so good.
His pocket presence was great.
He just understands what he needs to do. And I think as a quarterback, when you trust your offensive line like that, the offensive line then responds by playing even better.
Yeah. And so Bama will face Ole Miss this week. No concerns there. And then you have South Carolina, and they played at Florida in Gainesville. And it was the score is not too lopsided, but at the same time, Florida looked pretty much in control of the game.
I think this is another incident of a SEC quarterback who just looks good.
Yeah.
Trask is just looking great so far this season.
Yeah.
I was just impressed with the way they were playing as a team. Florida, honestly, I don't know if they necessarily deserve. I think they're ranked 4th in the AP. That is pretty high, but I definitely do think they're a top 10 team right now and that they're playing like a top 10 team. Very excited for Florida versus Georgia down the road.
Yeah.
But for now,
next will be Florida versus A&M.
Right.
So we'll see how they do against Texas A&M.
It's a good.
I guess would be.
It's a good comparison game.
Yeah.
Since Alabama just played A&M, now Florida's playing A&M. Like, does Florida do the same thing? Is it close? Is it not?
Well, probably. Okay, obviously Florida's offense is really good, Trask and everything. Probably the concern would be their defense. I don't know that Kellen Mond can really take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Then we had LSU. They were at Vanderbilt. Why are we mentioning this one?
It's just funny.
Yeah, it was.
It's
just
it was like
funny.
7-7 at the end of the first quarter, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Granted, they destroyed them in the second half, but still, it was funny. It was funny for the beginning when I was like, maybe, just maybe, Vanderbilt can do this.
No.
They didn't. Yeah.
No.
Oh,
then
well.
Virginia, we're mentioning this one. Virginia was at Clemson. I mean, it was 41-23. Clemson took care of them.
This is another scenario, just like the LSU game, of Clemson just comes out, doesn't do much, and then second half just demolishes.
Yeah.
And it's consistent
It
so
is
far
consistent.
this season
Yeah.
with the better teams kind of coming out, including Alabama versus A&M,
Yeah.
of coming out in the first half and it just being like, ooh,
A little
maybe
bit
this
close.
is a ball game, maybe
Yeah.
something's going to happen, and then just demolishing in the second half.
Yeah. That's where the big boys come through. So next week, when we're looking at week 6, next week, probably the bigger games would be Miami's going to be at Clemson.
We've already mentioned a number of the bigger games.
Yeah.
I think game day is Miami at Clemson.
I think it is.
Can
too.
Miami compete with Clemson?
I don't think so personally, but I could be wrong.
I think it's going to be close until the fourth quarter, and then Clemson wins by 10.
Hmm.
I do think Clemson wins this game.
But you think Miami can hang with them?
I think they can, and I think unlike most second half games for Clemson, Miami at least stays in it somewhat.
All right. Then had the Red River rivalry.
This has to be the most boring Red River rivalry.
Both of these teams are off losses this past week.
Oklahoma's 1-2. Only win is Missouri State.
Yeah.
Um,
Then we have, I know who's going to win this one. Most likely Texas would be my guess. Virginia Tech's going to be at UNC.
All right.
Yes.
My first upset of next week is going to be Virginia Tech at UNC. I believe UNC is 5.5 point favorites.
Yeah. UNC's in top 10.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know why. I don't
either.
know what they've done or even what players they have. I kind of paid attention to see what was a big deal about that.
Yeah.
Either way, I just think right now, even if Virginia Tech might not have the most talent, I think with all this COVID and stuff, I think the team's playing their hearts out right now, and I'm just impressed. Hopefully their starting quarterback is back.
It should be, I would think.
Either way, Virginia Tech comes in and they beat UNC. I think they beat them by 14 plus points.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens. I have high hopes for Virginia Tech in this game. Hopefully I don't get disappointed.
Yeah, go Hokies.
Yeah. And then my other upset of the week, I'm going back to group of 5 teams. Last week it was the AAC. This week it's the Sun Belt.
Sunbelt.
We've got Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleer, going all the way.
Chanticleers.
Going all the way. Going to Louisiana.
Yeah.
The good old Lafayette, not the Tigers.
This is the Raging Cajuns.
Yeah. I think Coastal Carolina wins. I believe the Cajuns are 7-point favorites. They're also ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
This shows why we need the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. Yeah, I said Mountain West. Coastal Carolina wins. I don't think it's by a lot. I'm really nervous. I'm more nervous about this one than I was the Virginia Tech guess because I know absolutely nothing about Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
I just know they're 3-0, and so is Louisiana. So come on, Chanticleer, come on.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us for our week 5, and we'll see you when we talk about week 6.
Go Broncos.